Hello everyone and welcome back to the pharmacology lecture series. So in this particular lecture we shall consider the topic drugs which are used in the treatment of myasthenia gravis. Okay. Now before going into the treatment of myasthenia gravis, let us see what exactly is the pathophysiology involved in the myasthenia gravis, okay, or what exactly is myasthenia gravis. So basically myasthenia gravis, it is an autoimmune disorder. Okay, so autoimmune disorder is a disorder in which the immunity, a person's immunity, it starts acting against their own body cells or biological molecules. So something like this is happening over here. That is, your own immune system, actually it gets activated whenever any foreign substances enter your body which act as an antigen. But here in this particular disorder, autoimmune disorder, your immunity acts against your own cells. Okay? So it identifies your own body cells as foreign substance or as antigenic substances. So it starts activating your immune system against your own body cells. Okay, so myasthenia gravis, it is a type of autoimmune disorder. So here what happens, the antibodies are being directed against the nicotinic receptor. NR is the term which is utilized over here to represent the nicotinic receptor. Okay, so whenever your immunity is activated, whenever it encounters any foreign substance, it acts as an antigen and your body starts preparing antibodies against that antigen. Okay, so your immunity fights against that antigen by preparing these antibodies. So these antibodies will start destroying that antigenic substance. So here, in case of myasthenia gravis, it's an autoimmune disorder wherein antibodies are developed against your own nicotinic receptors. Actually, nicotinic receptors, these are the receptors on which the acetylcholine acts. Okay, it binds to stimulates these nicotinic receptors, which are located basically on the skeletal muscles. Okay, specifically these nicotinic receptors which are located at the muscle end plate are basically getting affected. So your antibodies will be developed against these nicotinic receptors. Usually NM subtype of nicotinic receptors are present in the muscle end plate, at the muscle end plate. Okay, there are two types of nicotinic receptors, NM and NN. NN are located at autonomic ganglia, whereas NM cholinergic receptors, these are found in the skeletal muscles, okay, at the neuromuscular junction, to which the acetylcholine will bind and stimulate. So whatever acetylcholine is stored in the vesicles, in a axon terminal, whenever this neuron is stimulated, when it gets an signal for the muscle contraction, so how it is transmitted, this is what we have also seen in the chapter cholinergic drugs. Okay, exactly how the acetylcholine acts. So usually it is stored in the vesicles, membrane bound vesicles. This is acetylcholine which is stored within the vesicle. So whenever a impulse is generated over here, that signal is carried to this muscle, okay, for it to contract by this acetylcholine, which is released by the process of exocytosis. So it is released over here. This is a NMJ, neuromuscular junction, okay, wherein the neuron, it brings a signal for the contraction of the muscles. So when ACH is released, acetylcholine is released, it will bind to the nicotinic receptor. This is the nicotinic receptor, NR. Okay, so ACH will bind to these receptors, and as a result of this, the nerve impulse, okay, or neuronal action potential is converted to a muscle action potential. Because of this ACH binding to this nicotinic receptor, which is actually a sodium ion channel, it will produce the conformational changes and it will result in opening of sodium ion channel. Sodium will flow through and it will result in change in potential. So end plate potential is developed, which gets converted to muscle action potential, and this will be carried further to release the stored calcium and it will result in contraction of the skeletal muscles. This is what is the general or the normal physiology of contraction of a muscle. This is how the signal is transmitted. But here what is happening in this particular situation? The antibodies are being generated against these nicotinic receptors. So these nicotinic receptors are destroyed by the antibodies. This is the NR antibody. So you can see over here that these antibodies which are generated, these will bind to the nicotinic receptor, the NM receptor, and it will result in destruction of these NM receptor. Okay, so it will result in decrease in the number of cholinergic receptors, the NM receptors. Okay, so it may reduce to 1/3 of the normal or even less than that, or these antibodies may result in structural damage to the neuromuscular junction. So this is what is happening in myasthenia gravis. So as a result of this, what will happen? What will be the consequence? Now the nicotinic receptors, NM receptors, are being damaged. So what will happen? So further, if the ACH is released, it does not have sufficient number of receptors available for it to act. So what will happen? As a result of this, it will affect the contraction of these muscles. Okay, because sufficient number of receptors are not available. So it will not be able to generate the end plate potential, which is further propagated into muscle action potential. So there is a problem in the transmission of this signal from the neuron to the muscle. So appropriate muscle contractions will not take place in this particular condition because of the damage to the nicotinic receptors. Okay, so appropriate contraction of the muscles will not take place. So as a result of this, there will be weakness and easy fatigability. That is, the muscles will become weak and they will become easily tired. So with little bit of work, your muscles will be fatigued. That is, they will become tired. Okay, so you won't be able to carry out any kind of say exercise, or any your day-to-day activities may also get affected. So you will feel very tired with little bit of work, usually which does not produce fatigability. Okay. Now this weakness and tiredness, it will be recovered once the patient takes sufficient amount of rest. So these are the characteristic features of myasthenia gravis. You will feel tired very easily and the muscles will become weak. Okay. Now the types of muscles which are involved in these. So which type of skeletal muscles, in which areas the skeletal muscles will mainly get affected? Okay, mainly the skeletal muscles located in the eyelid, external ocular muscles or the facial muscles, pharyngeal muscles. These are generally involved first. These are the first to get affected when the person suffers from myasthenia gravis. Later on, it will slowly spread to the other muscles. Say muscles in the limbs may get affected later on. Even the respiratory muscles, these are also skeletal muscles in nature, right? The diaphragm and the intercostal muscles which are located in between the ribs. So these may also be involved. So it will go on worsening the different physiological aspects of the body because of involvement of different kinds of muscles. Now, how you will overcome this particular situation? So in most of the cases, neostigmine can be preferred. Okay, preferably it is given. Neostigmine, it is an anticholinesterase. Okay, so it is the drug which will inhibit the enzyme cholinesterase, which is involved in metabolism of the ACH. This is what we have seen in the autonomic transmission also, the metabolism of ACH. It is carried out by the enzyme cholinesterase, which is of two types, acetylcholinesterase and butyrylcholinesterase. So acetylcholine esterase is the specific enzyme involved in the metabolism of the ACH, which is inhibited by neostigmine. As a result of this, it will improve the muscle contraction. How it will improve? It will allow the ACH which is released to accumulate and act on the receptor over larger area. So destruction of the ACH is prevented, as a result of which the amount of ACH in the cleft over here, the amount of ACH will be enhanced, because whatever ACH is released, it will act on the receptor and immediately it gets hydrolyzed by the enzyme acetylcholine esterase. So it is also present in the cleft. So it will hydrolyze this ACH. So how neostigmine acts? It acts by inhibiting this particular enzyme acetylcholine esterase. So it will prolong the stay of ACH. Whatever ACH is released, it will prolong the stay of this ACH at this particular place, which will go and bind to its receptor over a larger area. Again, it may even directly depolarize the end plate also. This is how it will help. Okay. So usually the treatment is started with neostigmine, 15 milligrams orally, 6 hourly. It may have to be repeated. So the dose and the frequency, this can be adjusted depending upon the requirement of the patient, depending upon the involvement or the degree of weakness which is produced. So accordingly the dose adjustments may be required. Even the dose requirement may fluctuate from time to time. So whatever dose you are needing today, you may not require the same dose after a few days. Okay? And usually there may be periods of remission and exacerbation of this particular condition. That is, the symptoms may subside and say after few days the exacerbation of these symptoms may also be seen. Okay, so effects are unpredictable, and involvement of the receptors, it is unpredictable. So neostigmine, though it is the treatment with which the condition can be effectively controlled, but still the requirement, it may fluctuate and it may result in exacerbations also. Okay. So apart from this neostigmine, pyridostigmine also can be used alternatively, which is required in less frequent dosing. Okay. Less number of doses may be required with this particular agent. However, the problem with these drugs, anticholine esterases, is that sometimes intolerable muscarinic side effects may be produced. Okay, because ACH amounts are increased, right? So muscarinic side effects may get precipitated, which can be effectively controlled by administration of atropine, which is an anticholinergic drug. So it will block all these side effects, muscarinic side effects, which may get precipitated. Okay, but the drugs, these anticholinesterases, these are usually producing symptomatic relief. Okay? Basic disorder or the basic pathophysiology may not get affected by these particular drugs. Okay? So for that method, you can go for the corticosteroids. Okay? Now these particular drugs, because of their immunosuppressant action, these show considerable improvement in such situations which may not be controlled by the anticholinesterases alone. Now how these corticosteroids act? They act by inhibiting the production of antibodies against the nicotinic receptor. Okay, so antibodies which we have seen, they get generated and they will bind to the nicotinic receptors and destroy them. So corticosteroids inhibit the production of these antibodies against the nicotinic receptor, and also it will increase the synthesis of the new nicotinic receptors. So this is the mechanism of action of corticosteroids, how it will benefit the patients of myasthenia gravis. However, long-term use with corticosteroids should be avoided because they themselves have a lot of side effects. Okay? So chronic use should be avoided with the corticosteroid. Coming to the examples of the drugs which are utilized, this includes prednisolone in the dose of 30 to 60 milligrams per day. Okay, it may result in remission in 80% of the cases. Around 80% of the cases can be effectively controlled by the prednisolone. Okay. Further, 10 milligram daily or on alternate days, these can be utilized as maintenance therapy. So initially you can start with this particular dose. Later on you can switch over to 10 milligrams daily or on the alternate days as a maintenance therapy. Apart from this, certain other immunosuppressants are also helpful, such as azathioprine or cyclosporin. These also inhibit the antibodies against the nicotinic receptors. Okay. So synthesis of antibodies, it is inhibited by targeting the T cells. Okay. But the problem is azathioprine, the onset of action, it is very slow. It takes around about 1 year for it to show the action. But cyclosporin, it produces a relatively quicker action. Okay. Though it is longer, it is better as compared to the azathioprine. So this is a drawback with the use of this drug. Then the next approach is removal of the antibodies. That is, whatever antibodies are generated in the body, these are removed by the process of plasmapheresis, that is plasma exchange. So as a result of this, whatever antibodies are generated, whatever antibodies are present in your plasma, okay, in your blood circulation, all of them will be removed out of the body by exchanging the plasma of that particular person. Okay. So short-lived improvement is seen in the myasthenic crisis, okay, wherein the conditions are very much severe. Another approach is thymectomy, okay, that is removal of the thymus. Okay. Usually this particular approach, it results in gradual improvement and complete remission may be obtained with this particular treatment line. Okay, so how it will benefit the removal of thymus? Thymus actually it contains the it may contain certain modified muscle cells with the nicotinic receptors on their surface. So these are actually acting as a source for the generation of the antibody. So these nicotinic receptors, which are located on the muscles of the thymus, these are actually acting as the antigens against which the antibodies, the anti-NR antibodies are being generated. So removal of the thymus will be one more approach in treating the myasthenia gravis. Then in certain situations the conditions may be worse, okay, so that myasthenic crisis may be precipitated. So this is characterized by acute weakness of the respiratory muscles. So as a acute weakness, as a result of this, what will happen? A sudden weakness of the respiratory muscles will be precipitated. Now respiratory muscles, if they become weak, what will happen? As a result of this, your breathing will get affected. Ventilation, your normal ventilation will get affected. So if the respiration gets affected, obviously you will not be able to breathe appropriately. Your oxygen supply to the body may get affected. Carbon dioxide will not be, or the waste will not be removed out of the body appropriately. So this can be quite dangerous, or it can be having serious consequences. Okay, so how you can tackle this particular situation? So this is generally controlled by tracheal intubation and mechanical ventilation. So mechanical ventilation has to be provided to such individuals, otherwise they will not be able to breathe on their own. Okay. Apart from this, IV methylprednisolone pulse therapy is given. Okay. And while administering this therapy, you should stop the treatment with anticholinesterases. If you have administered the anticholinesterases such as neostigmine to such individuals, you should stop that treatment, withhold that treatment for 2 to 3 days, and then you should introduce this particular therapy. Okay, now what do you mean by this IV methylprednisolone pulse therapy. Now pulse therapy, it is something wherein the hyperphysiological doses are given, okay, wherein more than what is required is administered to the patient. Okay, so usual doses of methylprednisolone, more than that will be administered by intravenous route to such individuals. Okay, so with this particular therapy, it's an emergency situation, okay, wherein myasthenic crisis has taken place, the person is not able to breathe appropriately. So you can give this therapy and slowly you can reintroduce. After this treatment, you can gradually reintroduce the anticholinesterases. So slowly you can switch over the patient back again to the anticholinesterases. So most of the patients, okay, this particular therapy, it helps in weaning off of the ventilator in round about 1 to 3 weeks. That is, slowly over a period of time of 1 to 3 weeks, you can remove the ventilator. Okay, so requirement of the ventilator is ruled out in such individuals. Even plasmapheresis also can be introduced. So this will help in hastening the recovery of the patients from the myasthenic crisis. Okay. So this finishes the topic drugs used in the myasthenia gravis. This is quite important from exam point of view. Direct note may be asked on the drugs used in the myasthenia gravis. So you need to discuss what myasthenia gravis is, what is the basic pathophysiology, and then you can discuss all the drugs in short. Okay, so 4 marks note may be asked on this particular topic. This is a reference. Thank you for watching.